In ASP.NET Storefront Commander, one of the most common tasks you'll encounter while managing a website is inserting and updating product information. We've already explained how to do product exports in the Export tab tutorial. Now we'll explain how the import works in ASP.NET Storefront Commander. You'll notice that we have a sample import tab. This tab doesn't actually import the product, but it allows you to create a sample CSV file so you can fill it up with information and then proceed to import it. You'll see that before you begin, you have to choose what action you would like the import to do. In ASP.NET Storefront, you can insert, update, or delete product information. In this situation, what we're actually going to do is perform a sample insert, and we'll explain what fields are required at a minimum to do an insert. When you select the insert option, you'll see that the drop-down list now is available, becomes active. Earlier it was disabled. And you'll see on the right, certain fields have already been added for you. These are the minimum fields that you need to have in order to do a product insert. Based on the action you're doing, different minimum fields will be required. In the case of update, you only need 3 fields. In the case of delete, you only also need 3 fields as well. Now, the reason for this is that ASP.NET Storefront requires a minimum amount of information before you can perform either an insert or a update or delete. In this case, you can always add more fields as needed. So, as long as you have the minimum number of fields, an insert will work. Then you're free to choose any other additional fields that you may want to use in order to perform your insert. Once you've selected the fields that you want to insert into ASP.NET Storefront Commander, you'll need to set Generate Sample CSV File. What this does is it makes a mock-up CSV file so you have the minimum fields needed to perform that action. In this case, we'll go ahead and save it as Sample Insert. Okay. Now, upon opening that file, you'll see that ASP.NET Storefront Commander has basically made an empty file for you to fill in with information. What's most important in this file is that it has a column called Action, which is not present when you're doing product exports. The reason being, in the action, you can specify if this field or the row that you're working with is going to be an insert, update, or delete. We recommend when creating the CSV files, you only do inserts with one file, updates with one other file, or deletes with the other. It's not good practice to have one file with various options. It can be done, but it's highly recommended that you stay with only one type of action when doing these types of CSV file updates. We'll now see what you would have to do if you wanted to do an export. If you remember earlier, we did a sample export with some items inside ASP.NET Storefront. In this case, it exported product information and some of the fields that we needed to perform the export. So let's say we wanted to make some changes to these products and then re-upload these products into ASP.NET Storefront. One of the columns, as we had mentioned earlier, that's required to do insert, updates, or delete is the action button, action column. So in this case, since action is not available, go ahead and create a new column called action. In this action column, we'll actually go ahead and say update. So we'll go ahead and type update, and then we'll autofill, using Excel's autofill system, all the rows that we're planning on updating. Okay. Now, you'll see that there's various number of product information that's available here. And you'll be wondering why there are certain duplicates duplicates showing up. The reason being is the way ASP.NET Storefront Commander stores its CSV file system is that each row is considered a variant. So while there are 2 rows that say PlayStation 3, the reason there's a difference is that there are different variants. If you see here, one variant is an 80 gigabyte version and another variant is a 40 gigabyte version. That's the reason, in order to keep it easy for you to update each variant, we've made it so where each row is a separate variant. This allows you to update product information separately for each variant inside ASP.NET Storefront. And similarly, if you're needing to insert or update multiple variants, you can update multiple variants as well. In this case, a NASCAR toy seems to have 4 variants, and if we look outside the different variants, we'll see there are different model cars for each of those products. To keep this update simple, we're only going to be updating 2 products, so we'll go ahead and highlight some of the rows that we're not going to be working with and remove them. Let's see here. Okay, and in this update, what we'll do is we'll just say that we're going to be updating the category these items are mapped to. So we'll just make a new category called test cat. Okay, and update it here, and we'll also say test section. So while this not is a major update, in this case we just have a situation where we need to update the category and the section. Now mind you, you do not need to include columns that you do not want to update. So in this case, if you were not going to update the product name and description, we can actually remove these columns from the CSV file because we don't want to update these fields. And now let's go ahead and remove some more information here. We'll actually go ahead and set all the inventory to 50. Just arbitrarily just set everything to 50. Okay, and we don't need any of these either. So now we have a much more concise CSV file for performing updates. It includes the product ID, the variant ID. These two are usually important because if you don't specify these, the commander will not know which product you want to update. If you are using unique SKUs, alternatively you can specify the SKU only using the SKU column and not have the product ID. That will also work. Commander is smart enough to figure out what the product ID is based on the SKU. If you do not use SKUs or you have duplicate SKUs, a product ID or variant ID will be required at the minimum to perform this update. So now we're going to go ahead and save this file as an update, and we'll see what it does to the live website.